Thank you for joining me on another art time lapse. Today I'll be using acrylic gouache to paint a piece called A Piece of Me. As some of you may have already known from some of my previous YouTube videos, I'm really enjoying the process of motherhood and being going into this new journey in my life, and it's really influenced some of my artwork that I've been working on recently. So today I'm working on a piece inspired by the idea of motherhood and how having a child has really made a difference in my life. And I find that everything I do, everything I am, um, I find that there is a piece of them in piece of my children in what I do, and I find that they're always with me in whatever I do as well. So here I am using acrylic wash and layering one layer at a time with lots of water initially in the beginning, to kind of mark down where the landmarks are for the head and the hands and where I figure it will be. And then as subsequent layers dry, I add in less proportion of water, and I'm just using the really one single brush to kind of add in all the details. It's just a brush I picked up at my local art store at Opus Art Supplies. Again, not sponsored by the local art store. It's just telling you guys where I pick up my art supplies in case you're curious. Here I'm using a soy sauce dish actually to mix all my paint. I used to have a really big glass dish to do all my work, but I find over time, because I usually don't paint my art piece all in one go anymore, especially with children around. I find that I only have like segments of time throughout the day. I only need very minute amount of paint, so a soy sauce dish is just sufficient for me to get the paint I want, mix what I need, and just move on with the day. So if you want to pick up one, I think I picked up one in my local supermarket for like, I think it's like 50 cents. So, or at least at most like $1. I really like having something that's white so you can see the colors clearly, especially if you dilute it with lots of water. Here you can see I'm slowly branching out from not just her face and then working on the rest of the body. And that's usually how I work. I usually work from top to bottom and left to right, especially when I'm right-handed, so I don't smudge the piece as well. Here, after adding in the darker colors, I will go back and add highlights with acrylic gouache once it dries, because one of the great things with acrylic gouache is that it dries opaque, so you can layer on colors, especially, which is really helpful, especially when you make mistakes. Or if you can go back and rework the areas like several days later if you want. So I would say acrylic gouache works really well for me with giving me a more flexible schedule. I find that watercolor, I feel really pressured that I have to finish a piece with finite amount of time, given the watercolor is gonna dry and I can't rework that particular area, which is not the case of acrylic gouache. I can go back and rework area by adding it a bit of water or waiting for it to dry and adding another layer of opaque color to cover the previous mistakes. Here, as I mentioned, this piece is called A Piece of Me, and I've included a empty puzzle piece in the middle of this lady here, saying that for all the love we have for our little ones, they have a special place in our heart and very important piece inside each of us, a piece of us. I feel like it's supposed to be a very gentle reminder of how precious this relationship is, and how it's internal to us in a way that's really hard to describe. I don't know if I've ever imagined loving someone so much. Given that I feel like I had so much love to give already, but I yet had more and even more patience for my children than I ever thought I would have for anyone else. So going back now, I'm coloring in the background of the piece. I wanted the background to be semi-produced, like it's not completely finished, has like very rough brush strokes, because I wanted the idea that this is an incomplete process, this motherhood and journey through parenthood, which I think really reflects how it's always a journey to learn more and like always be inspired more by what our children have to offer us and lessons we have to learn. So it's supposed to be an unfinished, ongoing piece. At least what I transpire for the piece to have to give off the feeling of. Now I'm adding in some layers on top. I want to figure out maybe adding in some highlights, as you can see, onto the lady's face. You can see she have very loose strands of hair down the side. It's messy, it's raw, it's not necessarily tidy, and that's what motherhood is. Here, just fixing her one side of the shoulder. As I mentioned, acrylic wash, it's really nice to kind of go back and cover up areas if it doesn't really work out the first time. And instead of using a really strong highlight like a white highlight, I've chosen to use a light apricot to give it a more softer color feel. I hope you guys have been enjoying the commentary and this art time lapse so far. I have really enjoyed explaining the process and my thoughts on some of these art pieces. And if you enjoy these types of videos, please consider like, subscribe, and sharing my videos and my channel. That would really help a lot. Here I'm continuing to work on my piece, fixing in the shoulders. At this point, I think I've been working on the piece for roughly around, I would say, almost 4 weeks. Yes, this time lapse definitely makes it look a lot faster than it really is. Here, just dotting the sides. Like I mentioned, I want it to be a missing puzzle piece in the middle of the woman, a piece of me representing the child, and I want it to be an unfinished background, so I'm dotting, adding in little pieces here and there, like it's falling into place, or sometimes it feels like it's falling apart. Well, I hope you enjoyed this art time lapse of a piece of me. I really enjoy narrating it, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe and stay creative.